What's up, everybody? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new action figure review. Today from Star Wars The Black Series, we're taking a look at the brand new 2020 Phase 1 Clone Trooper from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. This is part of Wave 27, which also has like the Incinerator Trooper and the Heroes of Endor, the non-exclusive single releases, Cad Bane, and the Armorer, all the standard releases. So overall, really strong wave, but I have the exclusives for all the figures besides, of course, there is no exclusive for the Clone or the Incinerator Trooper, which I do have both. So stay tuned for the Incinerator Trooper review coming up in a later video. So let's not waste any time here. This is the new Black Series packaging. They've gone with red for Attack of the Clones for whatever reason. But on the side of the box here, you can see the Phase 1 Clone Trooper right there, all in his glory. Here is the bio for the Trooper if you want to go ahead and pause it and read it now. Of course, you have the bigger picture of the figure, and then it is number 2 in the Attack of the Clones line. On this side of the box, you got the logo at the bottom. On the bottom, you got all that stuff. And on the top, nothing going on at all. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this guy open. We'll take a look at the accessories and then the figure itself. Of course, as you would suspect, it comes with exactly what you think it would. The smaller clone blaster here, which for the 2020 figures is actually a different mold. So you can see at the top here, that is the original Clone Blaster mold, so it's a little bit smaller these days. But it still looks really nice, although it has 0 paint apps on it. It still looks pretty accurate to the movie and has some nice sculpt work. And then of course we also get the longer rifle as well, which again is a new mold. It's slightly smaller than the original. And this also features no paint apps whatsoever, but the sculpted details are nice. They do look really good. But of course, I do wish Hasbro would have put some paint apps on these guns, just like a little bit of dry brushing, you know, something simple, just to give them a little bit more dimension, because otherwise it's just looking like some black plastic. Now, let's take a look at the figure. All right, and here is the brand new 2020 Phase 1 clone out of the packaging, and he absolutely looks fantastic. Of course, I do have some minor issues with the new 2020 clone body, and I do have a very minor issue with the helmet on this figure as well. But I think overall it represents the Phase 1 clone well enough, and the problems I have with this figure aesthetically are pretty easily solved by just using a little bit of paint from a Gundam marker. Of course, there are some design things that are not so great with the new clone body, and we'll talk about that. So let's go ahead and not waste any more time. We'll take him off the stand and get a closer look. So right off the bat, you'll notice that, yes, the helmet overall does look fairly accurate to the movies, although the thing that I miss right here is that just that little black line. If we take a look at the older clone trooper here right next to it, you can see how the line makes that iconic mouth shape for the Phase 1 helmet. And then for whatever reason, they did not add the additional paint onto this one. The line is sculpted there, so it's a pretty easy fix with a Gundam marker, but still. This figure has barely any paint on it, so they could have easily just added that little bit in there. He does feature the movie accurate black band above the visor piece. Does have some decent gray paint around the back of the helmet, and then even a little bit of red right there. So Hasbro did some of the details and then skimped on some of the other ones in classic Hasbro fashion. Like, you know, that stuff right there, you could just paint that in with a black Gundam marker and it would look great, but they should have just done it anyway. Simply due to the fact that there is no other paint apps on this figure besides on the helmet. So we're moving down here. This is the new clone body, which is a little bit smaller than the old clone body, but I don't mind it. The articulation is so much better than that original release that's really what I was mainly concerned about, because that original clone body is not good. It is very bad, it's very dated, and it bums me out every time Hasbro reuses it. I'd say either give us this new body going forward or the Bly Rex body. That one is also still awesome. But taking a look at the details, they are pretty accurate as far as memory serves for the movie. You've got the belt there, all the clean white going all the way around. As Justin likes to call it, the Oreo pack. No paint apps on the back of the figure. but overall I think the sculpt work is fairly accurate, and I will say the helmet does look a little bit big on the body. I don't feel that way for the Kamino clone or the Ahsoka Trooper, but for whatever reason the Phase 1 clone head just looks a little big. And of course, just like the other clones, he does have a head underneath the helmet there that is unpainted. He does have a couple things wrong with him, but I feel like overall this new Phase 1 clone is still pretty dope. So now let's take a look at how he moves. All right, for the head, he can really not look up very much. He just kind of looks straight forward. You can get the head to tilt up, but it doesn't want to stay. It just snaps back down to that straightforward position. And then looking down, that's about all you get as well. So I don't know if the neck is just stiff or what's going on here. He does feature the joint at the bottom of the neck and then also at the head as well, but it just doesn't really work all that well because it doesn't want to stay. But you can still get some attitude out of him, and of course Exorcist, all sorts of decent mobility there. It's just the looking down and looking up that seems to be an issue. Maybe if I got a little hair dryer action on him or some hot water, it would free up the neck a little bit more, but as for right now, fresh out of the package, that's what you'd be looking at. And then here is how far the arms can go out on the clone, which is absolutely wonderful. The shoulder pauldrons are a nice soft plastic that are glued towards the bottom right here, so you just got to kind of gently pose them out of the way, and look at all that range of motion there. That is just fantastic. Of course, the arm does rotate around. He does have butterfly joints as well. You get a little bit of mobility out of that. The single jointed elbow here gives you more than 90 degrees, which is much better than the original. Although, like most people, I do kind of find it annoying how the elbow pad is glued onto the back part of the figure there, so sometimes posing with guns, it starts to look a little funky. But of course, you get that swivel at the elbow. The trigger finger rotates and has a vertical hinge, which is great. And on the other side, you get that same rotation and the horizontal hinge. For the crunch of the figure, he can go forward a little bit, and he can go back quite a significant amount as well. And you do get the side to side, you get the tilt. So he does have some really nice range of motion in the chest department. With his foot on the ground, his leg can kick out about that far, but just like the old Clone Trooper, you have to do that funky side move there with the thigh swivel, which you can see right there. And he also has the new single jointed knees, which give you about that much range. And again, same problem with the elbow pad. But I think overall, the updated articulation really makes up for those things. And I think that would be pretty easy for Hasbro to address in the future, and hopefully they do. Of course, you do get the swivel at the knee as well, and the foot can go down about that far. It can go up a decent amount as well, and you get that wonderful ankle pivot. So yeah, I think overall the new clone body moves really well. I think it is generally an improvement over both of the clone bodies, although I still will say that the Rex and Bly body is awesome, and they should use that and this body and then retire that old original clone body, which is not good. So now that we've taken a look at the accessories, the details, and the articulation, there's only one thing left to do, and that's see how he scales. Here he is with some Phase 1 Black Series troopers that I have on that classic clone body. Of course, we have the Commander and then the Walgreens Lieutenant. And I think he looks pretty good, although I seem to see that they have an opposite problem where the bodies are really bulky on the original and the heads look a little too small, and then it's flip-flopped on the new one where the body looks a little too small and the head is a little big. Then with the B1 Battle Droid and the Geonosian Battle Droid. Then with Anakin and Dooku. Then with Stoner Obi-Wan and the Bandai Clone Trooper model kit. And finally, the Mafex First Order Stormtrooper and the SH Figuarts Tank Pilot. So despite those few flaws with the figure, I think overall I am still very happy to have a Phase 1 clone finally in the collection for an affordable price. I think, of course, the articulation is a vast improvement over the original clone body, but he does still have those issues like I mentioned earlier in the video. I still would highly recommend you pick this guy up. I'm sure it's going to be a fight to get him in the wild. This is definitely an essential figure for the collection, What do you guys think of the new Phase 1 clone? Are you going to pick it up, or are you going to pass on it? Why? Why not? I always like to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed my review, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about Star Wars The Black Series here on the channel. Of course, I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.